Yet another beautiful day in the city of Lagos, and you're watching Meet the Boss, brought to you by ConnectNigeria.com. I still remain your humble host, William Sizumba. And as is typical in this part of the world, we say TGIF because today is Friday, and that's why you see me in my traditional regalia. A beautiful one, I must say. Well, you're watching Meet the Boss, and after this timeout, I shall be unveiling who the guest of today's show is. Don't go nowhere, we shall be right back after this timeout. Welcome back to the show, Meet the Boss, brought to you by ConnectNigeria.com. And today we shall be discussing financials. My guest for today's program is one individual that has done well within the financial sector here in Nigeria. Please join me as I welcome to the program today the one and only Segun Akintemi, the CEO of Page Financials. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Your humble abode.
You're most welcome.
Good. Now, sir, as is customary in this program, I like starting with a formal introduction. I like the guest to introduce himself so that the viewers back home can know who exactly today's guest is. So you have the floor.
Okay. My name is Segun Akintemi. I have been a banker for, I would say, the first couple of years of my career. I did banking for about 22 years before I left banking to foray into the consumer finance space, primarily to address the lag we have in people accessing funds and accessing loans. So I've been running a company called Page International Financial Services Limited. Page Financials for short. And we are the leading retail financial service provider in the industry.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, sir, let's come to that name, Page Financials. All over the globe, people say each brand draws its name from personal reasons. Why the name Page Financials to start with?
It's interesting because Page was, the name was almost a spontaneous decision.
Okay.
And for us, we felt that people needed a new lease of life. If you identify why people come to Page, they come for three things. They either come because they want to make an investment, or two, they want a loan, or three, they want a payment platform. So we thought to ourselves that anybody coming here wants more like a refreshed life. And we felt that anybody turning to Page would be turning into that wealth, that comfort, that convenience, service that's exceptional. And that's how Page.
So like a new page of life.
Yes, turning to a page. A new page.
A new page.
Yes,
Fantastic.
yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Now, sir, though you've touched about on it a bit, tell us, what are the services that Page Financials run?
Okay, simply put, we are a one-stop retail financial institution licensed by the central bank. We offer every kind of service a regular consumer or even an SME would require, from, of course, managing your investments for you, all the way through to you accessing loans when you need it. And of course, providing you a payment platform that would actually even surpass what the banks would offer you. And payment platform meaning that you can run and administer your business on our platform. And we have created, I'll tell you, exceptional touch points, which goes from the mobile app to internet banking, our card, our page card, which allows you to do business across the globe
Seamlessly.
from anywhere you are. Yes. So, and what makes our service different is not just about the uptime, which is exceptional. I mean, we have service round the clock, but we have a very fantastic team that provides support for any kind of service a customer requires.
Interesting. Now, sir, there's something, conspicuous when you walk into the premises of Page, and that's the fact that you don't see any teller stand. What's with that uniqueness? And yet we say this is a financial institution.
Well, that clearly tells you that the cheese has moved. And for those that know how to smell the coffee, the earlier you smell the coffee, the better for you. For us at Page, what we do is drive innovation. And for us, there must be innovation in everything. So when we were starting Page, we told ourselves that we are going to be in the forefront of the supporting the central bank in the campaign, in the cashless campaign. And one of the things we told ourselves was that if we don't have a teller point, there won't be any need for cash. And we promised ourselves that every transaction, every kind of service we provide will be end-to-end entirely cashless. So you want to make an investment with us, it is a cashless process. You want to pay your interest, it is totally cashless. You want a loan, the same way. So we've driven that from the first day we started our business, and we told ourselves, which is why you don't find policemen loitering around, and we don't have to worry about that at all. And that has helped our customers a lot. It has reorientated them to the extent that they now appreciate the comfort of being automated. But even more importantly, they now have a deeper understanding of the discomfort of carrying cash.
Now, sir, tell us, how has the experience been? It's a laudable concept that you're using here, Page. How has the experience been so far, the acceptance and the experience?
What I would say is that it's been new learning every day. It's new learning because the way we're doing business is entirely different from predominantly how it's been in the last. I've been in this industry for about 32 years, so I have a clear understanding of how banking itself has evolved, how the financial services has evolved. And I've been, from day one in my career, I've been driving technology. So I've also seen the impact of technology. And I'd say it's been very, very interesting. Interesting from the perspective of the fact that when you look at the way competition occurs now, particularly in the financial services sector, everybody's talking about FinTech.
True.
But one thing that we tend to miss out is the fact that it's not about acquisition of technology, it's about how you use the technology. That's one. Number two, we also need to start looking at things from the perspective of the customer. A lot of times, what you would find, particularly in this sector, is a lot of investment in technology based on the perception of what providers feel the customers need, without understanding deep into what the actual customer, or listening enough to the customer. And what I've also realized is that the customer's needs are very, very simple, extremely simple. But sometimes service providers tend to complicate it. An average customer just wants to be able to use his card when he gets to the ATM. He wants to be able to swipe at a POS. He wants to be able to do his transactions on his mobile app easy.
Anyway.
Make payments, for instance, with ease. So if you now create so many levels of complications around it, so which is why we made getting loans, before now, talk to a financial institution, you want a loan. Maybe they get back to you after 2 or 3 weeks and tell you should come bring more documents, and after some time they tell you they can't give you. But in our own case, you go to our mobile app, you apply, and you get an instant response. And it doesn't mean we haven't gone through series of processes in terms of checks and verification. So what that tells you clearly is that it's actually what has evolved over time, particularly with our experience, is that we've been able to apply technology and service based on the customer's perspective. you know. So our attention is more to the needs of the customer than what we perceive as the needs of the customer.
Well said, well said. Now, sir, I'm still going to ask you some more questions, but I think at this point in time, we'll go on a short break, and when we get back, we'll delve in more deeper.
No problem.
You're still watching Meet the Boss, and I still have my guest today, Mr. Segun Akintemi, the CEO of Page Financials. After this break, we shall be discussing some more questions. Don't go nowhere. We shall be right back.
I can tell you directly that Connect Nigeria have helped us to meet over 900 persons at the moment. Now,
we have been able to meet a larger group of people right now, diverse people from different sphere, advising us and also meeting up with them to see how we can connect with them, bring them on board where they can also earn something from themselves. So it has been wonderful.
Connect Nigeria, I feel you guys. Thanks for this opportunity. Last year we were selected as the top 100 SMEs, emerging SMEs, and that was what gave us the opportunity of being here.
Thank you, Connect Nigeria, for putting this together. It's been rewarding. It's been wonderful. I pray that every other SME out there that are not here this year will make it come 2020. Thank you.
You're welcome back to the second half of today's episode of Meet the Boss, brought to you by connectnigeria.com. And I still have my guest today, Mr. Segun Akintemi, the CEO of Page Financial Bank. Before that break, we were looking at some wonderful things he said, and we're back to wrap things up. Sir, you're welcome to the second phase.
Thank you.
And thank you for the wonderful insights you've been giving so far. Now, sir, the next question I have on my list is this. At what point in your career did you decide that, look, I think it's high time I go do my own thing? When did that button or that bell ring in your head that made you say, it's time to move?
I like the concept of the bell ringing in my head. Interestingly, I haven't done, I've been in banking all my life up till about 10 years ago. And for me, I've been actively in service-oriented roles. Okay. So my last role was actually running the shared services platform of one of the big banks. And I think it's always been behind my mind. I've had that orientation that someday I'd want to run my own business that will be providing services. Because that's one area that we tend to, because everybody's a trader in Nigeria, largely. But I told myself I want to be able to provide services to people, to be able to touch people and reach more hearts. And I think maybe about towards the late 2000s, I haven't gone through, I'll tell you, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of the banking industry. And haven't done the final one, which for me was the icebreaker, which was the consolidation of 5 banks into a single bank. I'd looked at it and I felt what else could be more interesting in banking. And I thought it's time for me to start looking at other opportunities. And the opportunity came for me to come and run I'll say the first consumer finance business, true consumer finance business in Nigeria as the CEO. At that point, I thought to myself, this is new learning, very different learning, because people don't really understand or can't actually strike a difference between the regular consumer finance business and the regular retail banks. And I thought this would be an opportunity for me to understand it better. And I had the opportunity of actually going, I'll say, to 2-3 countries where things have been practicalized, similar topology with Nigeria, very similar, strikingly similar lifestyle, and of course population too. Yeah. So I got a deeper understanding and came back to Nigeria, put a framework around it, how we started that business. And from there, I ran that business for 2 years, and I felt it was time for me to actually build one. And that led to the evolution of Page. So I would say the bell has been ringing, but for me, over and above that, my passion for service and my passion to serve is what drives me every day when I come to work. Because You know, what I do is I sit back and I imagine the opportunity cost of the person we're giving a loan to, the opportunity cost of not getting that money. It could be death. It could be so many far-reaching, embarrassing situations they could find themselves in. So when I look back, or when I get a feedback from a customer and says, oh, he's so excited, thank God for you, blah, blah, blah. For me, that's what gives me joy. The joy that I've actually touched the lives
of people.
You know, so that makes a world of difference.
Fantastic. Now, so let me take you a bit back. Your early days in Page. How did it all start? Can you remember some of those early challenges you were facing back then, and even some that you might still be facing today? Can you take us through some of those experiences?
If you talk about challenges is a daily occurrence. That's what I see.
True.
But our early days in Page was very interesting because Page started with actually a staff strength of about 3 and an office assistant. Okay. And we started from a tiny 2-bed flat, which was probably the total space, floor space in that flat was probably less than 60 square meters.
Wow.
And we evolved. By the time we grew up to 15 in that tiny flat. Then we moved to a property, a duplex. When we moved into the duplex, then we realized that, oh, well, there's room for expansion, and we kept going. And, you know, so I'd say it was very humble beginnings. And what I would tell an average entrepreneur or growing business is that you must stoop to conquer. You must be able to start small and scale up. But in your whole pursuit, you must not lose focus of where you're going to.
True.
Because you'd have some times where you'd have very discouraging experiences, very insulting experiences, which could actually break you down. But your ability to rise up is what gives the comfort. So it's very important for you to remain focused on your objective. You must have you must have tenacity to weather every storm, because the storm will keep coming, and that's the life of an entrepreneur.
Beautiful. Now, sir, earlier you spoke about your staff, you know, and how the role they've played over the years with you. Can you shed some more light as to how effective a staff strength plays in the growth of any business?
The answer to that is very, very simple. For me, my colleagues are my life. Because the truth is, without them, the organization doesn't exist. And I can't, there's no success I would achieve without my colleagues' success. So it is their success I just float on. So I would be very silly not to pay homage to them. Because they're the ones that make Page. They're the ones that make Page. So for us, we don't compromise when it comes to our colleagues, and I keep using that word. You know, you have to respect them. Because if you don't respect them, then you shouldn't be existing.
Well said.
Yeah.
Now, sir, can you share some of the high points of Page? I want to believe there have been several high points. Are there any ones that come to mind?
I think for every time we moved buildings, a very, very strong high points. We felt excited that we're growing. When we crossed 200 in terms of staff strength, we felt very excited. When we crossed 500. When we opened our first branch, it was very exciting. But above all, I think this year has been very interesting because we got our first award about 2 years ago. Okay. And this year we've gotten quite a few. But more interesting is the Business Day Award we got about 2-3 weeks ago, which has been, which actually just further confirms the fact that there's something good about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And that has been a major step in the right direction for us.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, sir, considering the role Page Financial plays as regards to helping businesses and get loans and get the needed expertise to grow, how would you rate the SME culture in Nigeria? And what do you think brands like yourself and even the government at all levels can do to help startups especially grow?
The SME culture in Nigeria, I would say, has gone through so many phases. But I think it's getting better. And if we're not careful, the population, the SME population, in terms of growth and understanding, would overtake the service providers around them. So you need to very clearly understand an SME well for you to be able to serve them. One of the big problems that we've always had is with SMEs is documentation, them being able to ensure they document properly, whether it's a one-man business or a multiple or an enterprise, you know. So documentation has been a major issue with SMEs. But the truth and the reality is that the SMEs are getting very literate now. Okay. And a lot of services is available to them online. So those days are gone where you have to provide a payroll system, where you have to provide a stock system for an SME. Everything is online and is in the cloud. So you don't have to go through the basic things. They understand what they want. So again, the culture of banking money has always been a problem. A lot of SMEs, they misrepresent their level of understanding financial education, not literacy now, education. It's a bit questionable. But what you'd observe now is that a lot of them are getting exposed and they understand these things. So for us as Page, it makes life easy for us. So once we understand what your business is and how you're doing your business, to support you is very easy.
Key into it.
And to ensure you grow.
What about the physical policies from the government at all level? How can they help?
The government is trying. They're trying through different channels. BOI is doing a lot. So and there's of course the intervention fund from central bank, which they are pushing down the microfinance banks and other financial institutions. Those things would work. But yes, it's still scratching the surface because the SMEs remain the biggest growth engine for any economy. And accessibility to funds is actually the critical success factor.
Great.
So you must be able to provide this.
Great. Now, sir, I want to believe you're a family man.
Yes.
What role do you think family life and engagement has played in your overall well-being and success?
I think it's critical, very critical, and it's a main success factor, and it's what gives you that comfort that you require, and it's a backbone. So you have to go home and find peace at home. So it's very important. So for me, my family is very, very important to me, and I don't compromise that in any way, not in any way or manner.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
It is very critical.
Now, sir, are you a book reading person? And if yes, is there any notable book that you think you've read over your escapade in life that changed your perception?
I am a book reading person. I do read. I always have one or two books I try to read at the same time. But I would say it might be simple, but there's this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which everybody talks about, by Robert Kiyosaki. Why I'm mentioning it is the fact that I read it about 5-6 times.
Oh, okay.
And for me, it taught me the art of understanding how to build wealth. Not riches, but wealth. And I think it changed my perspective and even my financial situation.
That's good.
So it's something that you probably need to spend a bit of time reading.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, sir, can you also tell us how you relax? I want to believe it's not just walk for you. How do Mr. Segun relax?
A lot of walk, unfortunately, thanks to my colleagues who don't give me peace. And I'd say, yeah, I relax, I socialize.
Okay.
I am not a social butterfly, but I socialize. And interestingly, I love traveling.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't have a problem flying 20 hours to London as against flying 6 hours. So I love traveling, which is why you see.
What about sports? Is there any sporting activity you like?
Sports, I like football.
Okay.
I don't play too often, but I do my regular walks. I do my walks. I try to do like 3-4 kilometers every other day. So at least you keep fit as you get older.
That's good.
Yeah, I take time and I sleep well.
Ultimate.
I don't joke with my sleep.
Ultimate. Sleep well. That's good.
Yes.
Now, sir, what would you say, or where would you want to see the Page Financial brand say in the next 5 years?
When you ask such questions, it's actually questioning or limiting the perspective we have of Page. To respond to you, what I would say is that I see Page outliving my children's generation. Wow. So Page is not being built to address the needs of the next 10, 20 years. Okay. Page is being built to outlive the next 3, 4, 5, 6 generations. Okay. So if you ask me what I see of Page in 5 years, Page would continue to blossom and remain a leader, which is why our vision is to remain the leading provider of retail financial services in the industry.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Now, speaking about vision, sir, what would you say is your wish and vision for Nigeria as a country going forward, with all its ups and downs?
It's simple. My wish is for us to have a leader that's emotionally obliged to the populace. It's as simple as that. So if you have a leader that is emotionally obliged to the populace, he or she will be able to pay attention to things that are important to the populace.
That's true.
And that's what you find. Any successful organization, you'd always find that. So the same thing, it's the same way. So it's about dealing with being able to communicate with people.
Well said, sir. I wouldn't have said it any better. Thank you for your time today, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's been an honor having you on the
program
today.
Thank you very much. Thanks
and we shall be following the success story of Page.
Thank you.
And be reporting it from time to time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, viewers, you've heard it all from the one and only Mr. Segun Akintemi, the CEO of Page Financials. He said some beautiful things about how he started, all the hurdles he went through, and where he wants to see the brand in the nearest future. Until we come your way some other time on the same network, as I always say, continue to keep a positive mind, and the sky might just be the beginning of your success growth. Bye, guys.